So hey, I'm Alison,
Hi.
Sarah.
Hello.
So, what are we doing here? We are asking Sarah. Sarah came along 2 years ago now, did some bars, and then since has done two foundation classes and other classes after that. And I just wanted to jump on about, why one, you love foundation and what it changed for you, and two, your choice and your experience with Mari-Jon as a facilitator. Um, that's what I'd love to know.
Amazing. So, foundation, I don't think it can be defined at all of what that has changed. Like, it's like night and day what life was pre access and what life has been post access. And I honestly, yeah, I couldn't
I remember
imagine.
you pre-access or pre-consciousness through access, and then now,
Yeah,
and yeah, so much more joy. Yes.
how it's all, yeah. So I, like Ali said, I got back from I guess I would say I was like had a spiritual bent to me before, and it wasn't necessarily structured. I was certainly using yoga as a tool of exploring what consciousness was to me and what it was in my life. And then access is just given really, and they say this, it's really pragmatic tools. Like they are, it's, if you are feeling a funk, like one of the ones is, who does this belong to? And that's something that you will get through choosing foundation, along with a whole host of everything else. And it's literally like the key to the kingdom, right? Like you get this Bible,
Well, the
basically.
key to the kingdom of your awesomeness. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So um foundation, just, it was a natural progression. I was like, no, I'm just doing bars. And Ali and MJ put it to me, well, why don't we link it straight into doing a foundation? I was like, no, I'm just here, I'm just doing bars. And then literally after that, and what that started to shift in my world, I was just like, what's the next thing? Like, when can I do this? And so it was the August that I did that, and I was straight back over in, I think it was the February that I could next get off from work to come over and do foundation.
Just to like describe, it's like, so we're in Sydney and it lives in Margaret River, which is 3 hours south of Perth on the other side of the country. But and yeah, we have known each other from Margaret River, but for you to choose to come over here and to, sit, I'm the host, I'm always the host for Mari-Jon, and then, helping MJ. I've got a dog that wants to come onto the interview. Hold on. She's very persistent and wants to knock on the door. She's also one of Mari-Jon's biggest fans. Yeah, so what was it like for you coming into 4 days of, it's like self-exploration, looking at your stuff, but also nurturing kindness, you've done lots of retreats and things like that. So how was it for you? I mean, both times really.
Well, I think anyone that started with access, obviously, to say yes to choose foundation, you will have had the experience of at least one bars class. And so you may have already had the understanding that classes start to act on you the moment you choose them, right? So you don't have to arrive and be in the class for those 4 days. And so, truth be told, like my first foundation,
you're the last person to know.
like I felt like I was being eviscerated in the best kind of way. Like I just, obviously, getting to Sydney is a bit of a mission in itself. Like first driving to Perth, getting on the plane, getting over there, being a bit sleep deprived, but it was just this whole, I knew my life was going to change the moment that I said yes. And that was something that it's been interesting to reflect recently, and how when I was 17, 18, 19, and people would say, oh, but what if you choose this? I'm like, no, I like my life the way it is, and be really like defensive and reactive, and this is how I am, don't try and change me, to now be like, fuck, bring it on, like as much change as I can get. Like, what can I choose? What can exponentialize? Like, what possibilities are available to me? And so to just, that's, I think, being one of the biggest things I've noticed in myself, is to just be like, why do I want to define myself? Like, why do I want to pigeonhole myself and say that's all I can have? Like, what more is available to me? And I guess that's the biggest thing now. It's like, how, you know, and it's a real excitement. Like you just bubble up and get so excited by whatever you can choose. I guess like foundation, yeah, like being obviously with you as the host and with Mari-Jon there, as a bit of a side note, but I think encapsulates everything. When I came so my first foundation was February-ish, maybe last year, and then I came back again for February this year to be with you guys to do global foundation. And I think the biggest kindness to me is that on both occasions I've kind of rocked up in a fluster. Like I say, classes start working on you before, and when you haven't got that facilitated there and you're still kind of learning to use the tools of access, you know, without having that facilitated to guide you, kind of like, fuck, what is happening to me? And you feel so bent out of shape. But then to arrive and to be so like received by you and by you both, and to have MJ in particular, the most recent foundation, when I obviously had points of view that I wasn't clearly aware of, or wasn't able to go, this is what was going on, and her to be able to see that I was almost like passive aggressive or whatever, and to just completely go, it's okay, like we've got you, what is this, what can we do with this, can we change it, and how can we change it, and to just work through and transmute everything was like, it's the biggest gift that, and yeah, you could ever give yourself, is to say yes to a foundation with MJ and Ali. Yeah, definitely. It's huge. It's huge.
I'm getting your
life will, like, it will literally never be the same. And how much, like, what else is possible from that? Like, imagine you have no past, you know, no points of reference for anything that you've ever had before. And what if this is where I'm at now. It's like, what can you choose for your future that you've never even thought possible? And this is the thing. It's like, you go, oh, could have, like, you know, a house. I could have, it's like, okay, but what beyond that? And that's the thing, it's now getting myself to the beyond. It's like, what more that I've never ever thought possible is available to me through choices that I can make through being just undefined and out of control. And yeah,
it's such a gift. And you know, I'm just like perceiving, you know, knowing you, and then knowing, you know, when you were like, you know, you've been in India, you've done the India thing, and then you're like, I'm doing Reiki, and I was like, well, yes, but I am come and do this thing called the bars, which is just like this whole other level of like energy clearing and healing. And just how you rocked up straight off the plane from India before going home after being in India for 8 months, like, which is a lot for people to process anyway. And then you came and did it, and there was a more ease in your world. But then, you know, you were here for 4 days, and then you like flew home back to everything, you know, coming back from overseas, who am I, whatever. And, you know, you just chose to use the tools, and mind you, have chosen a lot in 2 years, you know. So just like kudos for that. But, yeah, I do remember the foundation that you did with Mari-Jon, and just you know, I know because you're like a little bit, you know, she's from New York, but she's got that real like gentleness, where we're like a bit Aussie and a bit like, rah, we've been one of the boys, and we're so used to like being a bit rough and tumble. That's kind of how we've protected our vulnerable side. And I just remember like that coming out, and then just MJ just like softening everything again, and then just allowing you to soften and have less reaction in your life. I feel like that's one of the like hugest things for you, like no judgment or less judgment.
Less, yeah, it's definitely
less judgment for a humanoid is almost as good as no judgment. And yeah, so just like, yeah, that beautiful softening and receiving more of you, not as a wrong person because you don't fit in anywhere, and just the gift of
the old right and wrong.
just the gift of not fighting anyone else and their reality and what they're choosing. You know, it's just such a big gift, especially out of that class, you know, like so much change.
I think it's important as well to, you know, they say one of the tools of access is just follow the energy, what feels light for you and what feels heavy for you. And you don't, like, I can't say that there was nowhere in my world that I was cognitively going, oh, I'm going to get this back out of it. And the more access I do, the more I learn. There's nothing, it's not linear in any way what you're going to receive from this. And I feel a little bit like a duck on water, because on the top surface level, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm still living in a share house and hospitality is still like one of my main sources of income. But underneath, like, my operating systems of how I show up in the world, how I like look after me, how I engage with the planet, how I engage with, you know, people around me, like my receiving, all of those things. And that's what foundation can unlock for you. It's like the next, so just, if it feels light, if you're just sitting on the fence, you're just like, just choose it, because there's no way linearly you're going to be able to go, oh, if I put this in, I'm going to get this back out. There's just no fucking way. Like, you just go, yeah, I'm just saying yes because this feels the rightest thing that I can choose right now. And then, like, hold on, because your whole world's about to explode open. Yeah.
I mean, it's really incredible. And especially with what's been going on the planet. I mean, even people who aren't, like, even my parents and their parents in their 70s, you know, sorry, my parents and my parents' friends who are in their 70s and, you know, might not even have any idea of, like, the whole thing that's going on. They're all walking around going, this is really weird. Okay. And so, you know, even for people to have tools, I'm just laughing at these dogs. I can't show you, but she's literally, you know, when dogs go round and round to find the energy and then they like, oh, she found it, thank God. You know, it is a weird time and everyone is really needing to navigate what is true for them. And that's one of the main things that foundation does for me, who's been psychic, telepathic, different, weird. And this is what I love about working with people with these tools, is it's like you give them this sense of self that they've always had. So once we get rid of all those things, and that's what that class does, and Mari-Jon does a few a year and I'm always there. So I'm going through that class. So I do like 3 or 4 a year, and then the Global Foundation. And every time I do it is like another whole, like, you know, it's like the flower petals opening and then I'm like, oh, I've bloomed again, you know, like, yeah, it's
you hear things again, like perhaps the first time you just kind of either are vortexing so much because your whole world is like disintegrating apart.
Just read it and you're like, this is gold. Like, this is what should be taught in kindergarten to have like a really good life, you know, and to know that you're not wrong. And even in your family, like, just even helping you with finding your place within your family and not making wrong or fighting, you know, like that is such a huge topic on the planet, you know.
Yes, one that's relatable. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm just feeling all this energy from you, like all the goodness. But
it's like, I think the thing, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to obviously share access being alongside you in other classes as well, and what it is a lifestyle tool modality, everything that it is, like
whatever it is.
Whatever it is,
addiction. No.
The best kind. Consciousness is crack. Is that you guys are, like, the way you be, you are the tools. You know what I mean? Like this, you increasingly are the tools of access, and the way that you are able to be the space for us as the person choosing to just completely unravel, to be held, to be the fucking grumpy one, to be the upset one, to be the whatever is coming up, and for you to be like, wait, it's fine. We've got this book now. We've got these tools. Like, and it's not a wrongness. Like this, coming back to the wrongness, like it's not a wrongness. Like everything is 100% okay. Like however you're showing up is okay. And We can do that. And that's like the big underscore exclamation mark, like the biggest gift. If you're watching this and you're deciding like who in your life has ever received you with complete non-judgment ever, and just gone, however you be, no matter how stroppy you are or cranky or whatever, like come and let's work through this. Like that just, oh, it's all the heart squishes. It's just the best. Like, because it's space for you to find your own space and to completely unravel and to like actually start to have choice, and not just what you should be like this and this is how you must do this. There's no must, there's no should, there's just invitations and possibility, and it's amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, MJ's been a facilitator for over 10 years. Like I've been, you know, in that same era of like when it was only in 2 countries or 3 countries, and it was very different. It was like there wasn't as many humanoids. It was a very different time. So, and you know, we both moved away from it when we ended up coming together as partners. And then I was like, what was different about you when I met you? Because you were so different to what you are being right now. And she said, I was getting my bars run. I was doing more I was a facilitator. I was doing way more classes and consciousness and getting my bars run more. And I was like, well, whatever that is, whatever in me wasn't choosing it, even though I'd done a bars and a foundation, I was like, we are fucking choosing that. And every year we have just chosen more and more and more, because our lives got greater. And even for Mari-Jon, she was, you know, just not as confident and sure about life, and all her traumas and abuse and stuff was weighing her down. But when I met her, that wasn't in her world. Like, you know, it's a big part of her life, but it wasn't in her. She had space. She was, you know, it was like she held herself up high, and without the tools, she was like, I'm dying, like you know. And that's what I think for a lot of us who are healers and empaths, and, you know, we're kind and we're caring and we want to heal the whole world. And it's like, for that to have permission and all these different energetic tools for every single subject in your life that is in foundation, you know, money, energy, you know, the unseen world, you know, spirits, like what to do with all of it, and just having question that miracle, you know, it was such a gift. And it was such a gift to go away from it, to know what does work. And that's why we're like, well, people are like, well, you talk about this stuff, you do all this stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, because for us, that's the, like, what we know that works. And anyone that we work with, because we're both practitioners, and we both have facilitated and had, you know, coaching, healing businesses, to add these tools on. I've been a psychic medium, so she. So to even add those tools into readings and things, it's like facilitating consciousness. It just made everything easier for us as psychics, as mediums, to have all these things in that book that is in that foundation manual, and watching the ripple effects in other people's worlds. Like, yes, yay for us, but when you're like helping people and that's your job, and then literally watching what a bar session can do, or what, you know, some of the body processes can do for people's bodies, and all the miracle stories that we know about. I mean, how does it get better, especially at this time on planet? You know, our bodies, like, amazing. Our bodies compared to what other people's bodies are doing right now, like, incredible. Like, I don't get sick at all, you know. And I used to have 3 diseases that were diagnosed, and I don't have that anymore because of these tools and these things. And yeah, how does it get better? And thanks for coming on and sharing, well,
thank you.
the gift of you, but also, yeah, just to, you know, yeah, the gratitude or your experience with beautiful Mari-Jon A CF.
Yeah, do it. If you're on the fence and you're considering taking your life and just expanding what is possible for you, then say yes, and you're in super amazing hands with Mari-Jon. And then obviously having Ali as co-pilot for the journey that you're about to go on.
Great host.
Amazing host.
I even picked her up from the airport.
This is true. On more than one occasion.
In a hire car, which was even better.
She has picked me up and taken my sad and sorry self and put me through a class, and I've come out the other end like boggled-eyed and then gone into, yeah, enjoy life now. It's 100% something that you should, not should, that if you choose it, what else is possible and how can your life become greater? Thank you so much.
Amazing. We'll talk soon. Thanks, everyone.